Pull your microphone up, son. Thank you.
Bring you kind of up to speed about what some people have said about unelected officials imposing or permitting SILFAD to impose upon the Fort Mill community, particularly within the proximity of schools, is where this case really brought interest to me. I lived here for 20 years. I practiced law here on Old Hill Road for over 22 years in Lake Wiley before relocating to Barnum. But obviously the decision, and thank goodness for those 5 people on the Board of Zoning Appeals. The case number, if you want to leave here and look it up, you can go to yorkcountygov.com or southcarolinacourts.org, and you can type in the case number or look at the name SILFAD and the case will present itself. The first matter was SILFAD itself petitioned to appeal the BZA May 9th ruling. They didn't say what was wrong with the May 9th BZA ruling. They didn't allege what an error of law was, and they sued to immediately have the court consider imposing mediation. We had Wally, Scott, and some other people, and we filed a motion to intervene as an affected party. I understand that Wally has a house very nearby this plant. The gentleman just a minute ago just brought up the fact that there's a school within several hundred meters, a playground that's several hundred meters of where this exhaust is going to occur at. I don't know how that could be perplexing for a political official. But they appealed it. They didn't say what was wrong with it. And our position, in layman's terms, is just very simple. This is a tract of property, zone light industrial, that the findings of that BZA board and those 5 members are law. That there is no error of law having been committed, and that their findings constitute, at this point, under our laws, the findings of a jury. So if they're supported by any evidence, we are asking the court to affirm. But if a mediation does occur, we've intervened, and I did that using Wally. Now, to move to your question, there was a second lawsuit that was filed last week. It's going to be amended Monday. But that is the Citizens Alliance for Government Integrity. I don't know what the disconnect is between the individual Board of Zoning Appeals and the York County government. But if somebody in a bureaucratic position in the administrative side of York County is issuing decisions that are legislative in nature, permitting this plant to oppose itself to Fort Mill around schools, around houses, our message in layman's terms is very simple. Not around the schools and not around our homes. So, in that decision, which again, a nonprofit organization was formed to bring that, I will bring up the Administrative Procedures Act. I can tell you that I went back and this lawsuit was commenced with discovery. That means we're going to get into some things I may not have seen yet, and I don't want to comment on legal strategy, but we did ask for a temporary restraining order. I don't believe any of the permits that have issued since the BZA determination on May 9th are legally valid. They should not be permitting any type of structural change. And again, in layman's terms, our position is SILFAD is attempting to put a heavy industrial square peg into a round hole. That round hole is light industrial, and there's nothing that mediation can change about that. I spoke with one of my attorney colleagues that's here already. He'll tell you, or any other attorney will tell you, mediation is pretty much a voluntary process. It's not binding, as in a binding arbitration. So I'm concerned. We did ask for restraint. We did ask to join them, ask the court to review the permits that have issued subsequent to the BZA decision. That is now pending. So I hope that answered your question.
It does. I really appreciate all the support here around that, because I think as they increase the bills that they're incurring, we're just going to be paying for it as a taxpayer on the other side of this. So one way or the other, we're paying for it. So
that is also something that we did address is the failure to mitigate damages. If you know it's zoned light industrial, you should be mitigating the damages. And it does, you're correct, it does fall back to the taxpayer. And I don't think that's fair to the taxpayer. I'm no longer a York County resident, but what people really have to realize here is what I've talked about several times with Mr. Lyle is, it's not necessarily the cheaper taxes below Charlotte that made Fort Mill a populated and denser area that it is. It was the schools. And that's why so many families moved here. So if they don't have that in the forefront of their thinking, I think anything they did, the permitting process was error. Thank you for your question.